and welcome back to part 31 of the Final Fantasy VII Remake. I am excited, dear viewers. As of this recording, it is the day of the Game Awards. Tonight, once I get home from work, I'll have about an hour and a half to chill, and then the Game Awards starts up. I think it's either at midnight or 1 AM. Either way, I get home from work at like 11 PM tonight, so I will literally still be awake trying to, you know, like doing the cooldown when it goes on, so I'll just watch it or something and then probably not worry about making a video tomorrow, since tomorrow's Friday and this will be coming up on Friday, so I can catch up on sleep, but we'll see. But either way, I'm not excited for the actual, you know, like the awards themselves. I think I've made that very clear over the passing months that I really do not like a lot of the award nominations and how things have gone. It feels like it's very minimalizing towards the actual talent that we've seen this year to just restrict it to the same sort of names instead of it being as varied as it is. But the actual announcements, yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what happens. I'm genuinely excited to see what happens. And the only reason that's kind of spiked my interest so much to get me from, it'll be alright, to, ooh, is Sonic the Hedgehog. It's been confirmed that as a trailer for the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 film, or movie if you're in the US, will be premiering at the award show, along with another announcement. It's going to be a double bill announcement for Sonic the Hedgehog. And I'm going to be honest, Sonic the Hedgehog, the film, the one that came out last year, was genuinely one of the best films I'd seen in a long time. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, they're more about all these Marvel films. To be honest, I never really clicked with the Marvel series. I get why people like them, but they just weren't my thing. But the Sonic movie, I loved it. So I'm super stoked for the sequel.
Long time no see. What brings you back here?
Well, we need to find a way to get topside as quickly as possible. And we figured Corneo ought to know one.
Is that so? In that case, I can help.
You serious? Then tell us!
Follow me.
Let's just hear him out.
So, what's the deal with the hole?
Unfinished business. If you three give me a hand with it, I'll give you what you need to get topside.
You want us to go back into the sewers with you? What's down there?
Corneo's hidey hole. That's where I'm headed.
You're not gonna try to screw us over, are you?
If that's what you think, walk away. I'll find somebody else to work with. And you'll have to find another way to get topside.
All right, we're in.
Say what?
He betrays us, he dies.
Fine by me.
He means it.
I'll tell you more after we've climbed down. When you're good to go, let me know.
I guess I should talk about what the actual main story of Chapter 14 is. Now we're actually kind of starting it. Now we finished our side quest-a-thon. It's a bit of a... I suppose I think it's the weakest chapter in the game in terms of main plot. The side content makes up for it, but the actual main content, it's just a filler. And I know you could argue that the last chapter was as well, with Barrett and all that stuff, but I'd argue against it because it was firstly an opportunity to have a Barrett-focused chapter to give some more character to him and some more growth to what he could do. Secondly, it was changing some of the events of the story because, like I said, Wedge died in the original, so now it was Wedge gets to survive. It's a small change that doesn't affect the mega big picture of the overarching story. So having it in felt nice, and it teased at bigger things with the little scene we got at the end before the weird Dementor-looking spirit things threw us out. so it had relevance. Whilst this chapter, in the original, you just went straight up to the plate after after 7 went down. You went straight up to the top decks to start heading towards the Shinra building to try and rescue Aerith. Yet in this one, we have to do all this sidetracking. We have to go find the Don again, and we're going to be returning to the sewers and literally going back through some content. Like, it's genuinely the filler chapter. And so I don't mind it because it's more gameplay, it's more combat, it's more, you know, of the Final Fantasy VII goodness. But in retrospect, this becomes the weakest chapter. So the only thing that stops it from being a straight up bad chapter is that I really enjoy all the side content available here. But in terms of relevance, there's some stuff that happens in this chapter where even on your first run, you see it and you go, okay, really? Because you know it's just filler. So this whole chapter just feels like it's there to expand on the length of the story, to make it hit a certain quota, which I don't think it needed to do because this game's already pretty damn long. And keep in mind it's only part 1. Like, I feel like they could have got away with not doing this and it'd be fine, but we're here anyway.
You are gonna hold up your end of the bargain, right?
Long as you hold up yours. Yeah.
I don't trust you and I don't like you. So if you so much as breathe in a suspicious way, I'll turn that face of yours into a honeycomb.
I'd save your bullets for the monsters if I were you. Some are a lot tougher than you'd think. Hate to say it, but I can barely take them on my own. You, on the other hand, shouldn't have any trouble. Am I right?
Let's get this over with.
What I will compliment, though, is actually to do with Barrett. At the very start of the game, Barrett was talking to us in the exact same way he's now talking to Leslie. But now it's only Leslie that's being spoken to like that and not us. You get to see the contrast of how his character's grown throughout the course of the adventure and how he's grown to respect Cloud for who he is, instead of just seeing him as another tool that could betray him at any moment, which is what he now thinks of Leslie. He's expecting Leslie to betray them in the same vein he was expecting Cloud to betray them in Chapter 1. It's nice to almost be from a different angle of it, to be like, oh well, yeah, he actually appreciates us now. Also, if by some baffling miracle you missed Tifa's weapon here, you have no choice but to go this way this time because of some of the rubble and whatnot, so you'll get it this time. If you somehow miss it again, I can't help you. Speaking of missing weapons though, I've done my next play session and I got the Mithril Saber. There's another shop. So all my panic that I've had over the past couple of videos is thankfully satiated. I said this is the earliest point you can get it, but literally no guide, walkthrough, or anything I looked up mentioned that it showed up again. And it was starting to worry me. I was like, oh god, it's going to be a New Game Plus thing. Oh, great. And yeah, no, there is a shop right next to the last opportunity to talk to Chadley that sells the Mithril Saber. So I managed to just nab it then, thankfully. I will say though, because I've mentioned many times before that I'm trying to do all the magic materia to max them out to show off the last summon before I beat the game. When I got to Chadley, of the, I think it's 13 different magic based materia in the game, I'd only maxed out 5 of them. So I went, you know what, I'm going to see what happens after I do all the Colosseum fights, because there are like digital Colosseum fights you can do there to grind up and try and get them. And I'll see what it is then. If I'm even remotely close, I'll consider it. I was still at 5 at the end of all the Colosseum fights. I'm not going to waste my time, because that's a lot of grinding to get it done, and I would be stupidly over-leveled by the time I finish.
Would kill for a shower.
So it will be a post-game video. We'll show off the last summon, probably. Which is a little, like, disheartening for me, because I really wanted to show it off in the main game and maybe use it on a, like, major boss. But it is what it is. I'll have to try and get it and show it in post. Try and find a good fight in the game to get a summon up and then use it.
Not bad.
But I digress. It's just we get every single summon but the last one. So the last one was just a post game extra. Speaking of the post game, I'm still slightly undecided about how things are going to go. Like there's a few obviouses. Like I'm also going to show off the last fight. I'm going to show off what is basically the post game, but that's not much. That'll probably only be a video, assuming I do it all and not just slot into the same one as the summon fight, because I might just do that, because as I've said before, I don't want to do all of the fights in that Colosseum thing. the post-game version of the Colosseum because the fights aren't fun. I really don't click with a lot of the fights and just don't find them that interesting. So I'd rather like just kind of show and be like, hey, this is here, you can figure it out yourself, and then leave it at that. I do have some corrections I want to make from previous videos though, because I do kind of, as I say, I talk a lot, and I talk about things that I think I know without really checking, and it's not a matter of me like getting arrogant sort of thing, or at least I hope that's not the impression I'm giving. That's never the impression I want to give, that I think I know better, because I know I don't. It's more when I'm talking and I'm doing my commentary, I haven't got a list of notes next to me, I'm just talking, and so sometimes I'll say things that in that second in my head I'm like, yeah, I think that's right, and then literally like as I press up and like process, I go, well, hang on a minute. Like last video I said that SmackDown could be powered up by using 280p. I was muddling it up with another skill. There's a skill he's going to get. It's actually his 6th and final new skill that he gets. Because every character gets 7 skills. 1 they start with, and the other 6 they get from each of the 6 weapons they pick up. But Barrett's final skill was the one I was muddling it up with. But no, SmackDown only uses 180B always, even if you have 2 full. But it is a good crowd control weapon. I still stand by that. The other one, and it's something that I only noticed when I started recording my next session, is that I got some of the best material in the game that you can get on your normal run that isn't the hard mode stuff, and my accessory material slots, I meant accessories, not materials, best materials, I meant best accessories. See, I'm already, you get what I mean. The best accessory, you only had 4 material slots, and so I think that's also a mistake on my part. I might be like wrongly correcting myself by saying this, but I think it's only 6 weapon, 4 on accessory, meaning you only have 10 material slots per character, as opposed to the original game where by the end of it you had 8 and 8. But I said the difference with that is that that was the entire experience, and they obviously don't want you to get, you know, that powerful in your first run, otherwise where if you got to climb. So making it so you can only have 10 instead of 16, yeah, that makes sense. They'll probably expand it out and make it either 8 weapon or 6 materia in the next game, and then after that make it 8 weapon, and then if it goes to 4 parts, which I hope it doesn't. Also, I just ran straight past the chest. I hope that one wasn't important. I really hope that one wasn't important, because I'm aware that in my recording I'm in chapter 17, which is literally the second to last chapter, and I still haven't picked up the all materia. I really hope that wasn't the all materia I just ran straight past. I've been really paranoid that I've missed it. If I have, it's not the end of the world, because Magnify, although limited, still works enough, but I really hope that wasn't the all material I just ran past. It'd really suck if it was.
The mark of avalanche.
So I'm hoping it's just
Jesse and Biggs dashed the
somewhere that I've missed it, but I really think I've missed it.
I never got the chance to thank them for what they did.
Tifa.
But yeah, don't just run past treasure chests. I said that was just me in recording mode. It's happened in a lot of the Let's Plays I've done. When I'm in like concentration recording mode, I do run past things because I'm aware that I can't just linger and wait around because I'll waste video time. And so you do end up missing things. I think any person who does videos or live streams, especially live streams, holy shit, you miss a lot when you're live. That was my biggest thing, like when I watched back on this and my Psychonauts live streams. There were points where the game would like point blank tell me things directly on the screen and I'd miss it. Like when I went to the Milkman conspiracy and the game straight up fucking tells you you cannot beat this level without the thing that absorbs the webs. And I just missed it.
Yeah.
I just didn't process it, and I was just like, the curse of live streams. You're micromanaging, you're keeping an eye on chat, you're making sure nothing like falls apart in the recording, you're making sure you're not losing frames, and you're trying to play the game, and you're trying to commentate. There's so many things you're processing on. Sometimes something has to give, you know, and it tends to be reading. It tends to be using your brain. Even when it's not live, as if it's recording a video like this, there's still moments where things just get lost, where things just go missing, where I'm focusing on so many things, making sure the editing is fine, making sure basically all the pieces of the puzzle make sense. There are just sometimes there are moments where stuff like goes by the wayside, and I don't notice it until it's way too late. So I am pretty adamant, if that's not the chest that has all the material in it, there's another chest somewhere that does. Because I'm definitely missing it.
Not bad.
Because I don't think it's in chapter 17, the chapter that I've got to in my recording.
Wait.
What? Leslie? That was the That's never happened before. I love when weird things show up in games from the moment I press record, because, you know, they never usually do. But now it's time for the biggest evidence of why this area is padding. Like the cutscene that's coming up, when you see it and you see what happens, you'll get it. You'll see what I mean. You'll sit and go, wow, that really is just there to stretch out the game time. Okay, got it. Sure, why not? I mean, and it's fun enough, so I don't hate on it too much, but it's noticeable.
This it?
Yeah,
So how are we supposed to get topside?
through here.
Then you're telling me we're not done?
Sorry, guys, but it's not that simple.
No! Wait! We gotta catch him!
Huh?
He took the key to the door! Without it, we're screwed!
Let's go.
God damn it, Leslie. I do think it's kind of charming that in the machine, like the shop machine just before this section, it has the track called The Chase. I wish they kind of kept the original name, the Crazy Motorcycle Chase. That's the original name of the track. But no, The Chase plays just before you have to chase after a creature. But I was like, okay, I'll give you that. Oh, here comes like one of the worst encounters in the fucking game. 3 Sahajins in a thin corridor. People are gonna get toaded. People are gonna be frogs or toads or whatever they are. You've gotta just accept it. It's gonna happen. It's too small of a space for you to just easily avoid a lot of this shit. I try my hardest, but it doesn't work out, and I end up having to like retreat, I think. I think this is the fight where I end up retreating a little bit. Oh, because here it comes, and I just didn't spot it in time. I got my assess on, and then Cloud got fucked. If you can spot that curse coming, the easiest way to dodge it is just to keep moving. Because it will use it, and then it will make a field around you, and then it will activate. It's just that the other skills that also do it, like when they throw their spear, it's a lot harder to deal with and avoid. So now like my whole party is, well, basically got the enfeeblement ring. They're not helping. So what I decided to do is try and get one person out to safety and get them away from the encounter. Oh, I try and fight back a little at first, but when it's like, oh god, that's a lot of damage, I back up around here. I go around the corner and reach like the edge of the fleeing sphere of like the encounter space, and then just do everything in my power to waste time until someone comes back.
I won't give up.
Then have them on one of these things needs to die before this gets any worse, because we might game over on this fight. Tifa's down. Well, admittedly, death will get rid of the Toad status condition, but the biggest thing that I think was like my curse in not getting all the magic material maxed out is Raze, if I'm honest. It was a stupid mistake to not have Raze on the party when Barrett left. I should have immediately put it on Aerith back when we got into chapter 8 to get more chapters growth on it, because it costs like 5,000 AP to get it to arise, and it's like the biggest cost of any other materia in the game. Like the cost is ridiculous. So if I had it going the whole stretch, maybe I could have got that done. And if I had that done, the rest aren't too, even though it's, like I said, it was like 5 out of 13, the rest weren't hideously far away. They were like 4 to 500 away, whilst Raze is like 2,500 away. Which is why I was kind of like, nah, it's not worth it because that's too much of a grind. But if I like managed to get that out, maybe I would have committed to it, but that's retroactive for you. You never know that sort of stuff when you go into it, or you know, in my instance, forget and don't plan around it more enough. But it is what it is. Like I say, it's just some more to add to the post game. What I'll do, because as I've toyed with, I will cover Integrate at some point. Integrate's kind of going to be treated as a separate thing, so I'm going to do the extra videos for the main game first. Then, if I'm going to cover Integrate, I'll cover Integrate. I'm going to keep on saying if and maybes and da-da's. Because of the whole ending cutscene being blocked, I need to, let's say, get footage from other sources. And then I've got a friend who's willing to do it, but it's organising the time because he's busy as well. It's just, it's a whole piece of work. It's not something that's just gonna happen just because I say so, you know? It's gonna be, let's see where the pieces lie. But anyway, there's a new enemy here. There's an Ubzu shoots, like a baby Ubzu. Which, if you don't remember, Ubzu was the boss we fought when we first fell into the sewers. The sewers? I cannot speak today. The sewers. More accurately, I can't pronunciate. I think if you've been with the channel for a while, you know that my English speaking skills is extraordinarily terrible. It just fails me at random. Good old dyslexia. It just fights me at random sometimes and just completely stops my ability to speak basic sentences. My main hassle is reading out loud. Genuinely, it's a miracle that I do like the little voiceover things that I do for some games. Like when I play like a Neptunio, really an Idea Factory game in general, I voice all the characters myself. Doing that, it's a miracle that I do it and do it not as terribly. Like when I first started doing it with Celeste, I had to work my arse off and really focus to try and get that somewhat smooth, because I really struggle to read out loud. Like, I can read it in my head super quick, it's just reading it out loud, my brain just goes to kaput. It just doesn't do it. But as it's gone on, like when I covered the V2R or the Death and Requests or Dragonstar, I do feel like I've gotten better with it. I'm still not perfect, and there's still a lot of instances where I stumble over myself, or more commonly, the sentence I read in my head and the sentence I say out loud are slightly different but mean the same thing. Just because I read it and my brain basically just shortens it to make it easier for the rest of me, because of just the way my brain works and how it struggles sometimes. Like I said, good old dyslexia. But we're still chasing after this thing. You gotta see, like, I've mentioned in the past few videos, but where I'm still trying to push for all the materia at this point, yeah, there's some issues here. There's some strategy issues that I'm struggling with. The biggest thing I should have done is the accessory that makes you immune to sleep and the materia that makes you resistant to it should have been on people. I should have absolutely done it. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about with the whole resistance thing, we have association materia that weakens debuffs, and we also have an association materia that strengthens resonance with it, depending on whether it's on your sword or armor. If we put the sleep materia and then put the resonance based one, the elemental, on it, and then put it on our armor, we would have a resistance to it. And I don't do that, and I should have. And I said you can still make the most of it. It was just where I'm so heavy focused on pushing. That was an annoying miss. I wanted to get that free counter. But where I was so focused on trying to get the all materia done, I just didn't have it equipped, and I end up like getting costed for it a little dearly. Speaking of it though, because I do end up picking up the Mithril Saber, although for the fun, we'll see when I get to the final boss, but I'm tempted to go back to the Buster Sword just for the final boss to make it look more cinematically accurate to what they were going for reasons that will make sense when we get there. But the Mithril Saber, now I picked it up again in chapter 16, it's got 6 materia slots on the weapon. The Buster Sword has 4. It's kind of difficult to convince myself to go back. But once you start getting, when you start getting the character's final weapons, or start getting near the end, any weapon you pick up in chapter 15 onwards, basically, it's gonna be good with materia slots usually. It's gonna start off with a high amount of materia slots usually. And so when you start adding more for its upgrade path, it's gonna grow. Every single weapon will end up with 6 slots, I believe, by the end of hard mode, because I said you get the art books and you eventually can max out the weapons and get every single skill for them. And then once you do, you can, every single weapon will, I think, gets every single materia slot. They might not all get links, but they all get 6 materia slots, I think. I haven't gone through hard mode in a long last while. To be fair, I kind of want to. I want to do a hard mode playthrough again at some point. Because I want to record the final bosses, because I said I did all the hard mode bosses except the final ones, because they were blocked scenes when the game first launched. And I think it would give me enough incentive to want to carry on and then do integrate hard mode, because I haven't touched its hard mode yet. I want to, because I saw that there's a trophy for doing the Fort Condor minigame in hard, which tells me that the minigame is harder on hard. And I'm kind of dreading that because I thought that some of those missions were pretty tough or normal. But I have an understanding of how the minigame works, and I'll try my best to explain it when we show it, whether it's after this Let's Play or later on if it ends up not happening straight away. But either way, look, there's a hard mode variant of it, and I'm kind of curious to see how ridiculous it gets, but at the same time I'm kind of dreading it. But I more just want to see how integrates bosses change on hard. As I said, that's one of my favourite things with hard mode in this, is that the bosses get new strategies and new skills. I want to see firstly how much that applies to integrate, and I want to see how much I have to kind of remix my thought process when I'm going through it. It's what I liked of the main one, is that you have to rethink how you approach bosses. Yeah, the fact that integrate is 2 relatively big-sized chapters is slightly concerning for hard mode, more so chapter 1 than chapter 2, because chapter 1 has a lot of side quests similar to chapter 14 in this, and has a major boss at the end of it, and it's like, ugh. Whilst chapter 2 is more of a gauntlet that has several like smaller bosses scattered throughout, and then one big one near the end. So I always there's a part of me that almost thinks chapter 2 will be easier because it'll be more streamlined, you know what you're doing.
Just like his owner.
But this chase is still going on, annoyingly. But it ends, thankfully. This is the last resting place for this mischievous key pouch stealer that is wasted the past 20 minutes of our time. I say that, we didn't get there that quick. It feels like you're here forever. I genuinely am not keen on this section. It's like, if it wasn't for the side questathon that's tied to this chapter, I really wouldn't care for this chapter at all. I think it was the 1 weak link. And I still kind of do, it's just the side quests make up for it just enough to make it not so bad. However, speaking of the side quests, I've mentioned before, there's one side quest we couldn't quite finish off. Don Corneo has one more door we need to break into and steal stuff from. It's in the sewers, as I mentioned before. We kind of just ran past it, actually. When we were trying to sneak up on this thing, and we had the party split into 2 to go down it, beyond it is the door that leads to it. But if you try and go there immediately, the water is raised so you can't get into it. You need to lower the water. I forgot that. Me and my, lack of practice, I forgot. And so you're going to see me run over there. I might have edited it out. I can't remember what past me did. I might have edited it out. But I run back there, realise it's closed, and then go, oh god damn it. And it was literally just slightly too soon. It's just because I try and go for it the moment this fight's done. When you need to go through that door next to us, and then there's a switch on the other side of that door. It's literally, that's all you have to do. It's 2 extra steps. Well, it's a little bit more than that, but you know what I mean. It's 1 more little corridor and you're done. And I just turned away before I went to it because I was like, oh, hang on a minute, I can go do that now. No, almost now. I was just ever so slightly misremembering. I just remember you have to do this thing first and then you went for it. I just misremembered one small piece in between.
Got some fight left in you.
But anyway, we're done here. We've got our pouch back so we can see what all the trouble's about.
Give it back.
That's...
Give it back.
That's not a key.
Sorry.
That's not your pendant either. Were they family?
No.
It was all just a dream, wasn't it? But one day, no. Time to wake up and forget.
"6 months ago. On that day, Corneo picked her as a bride, and on the next, she vanished without a trace. But before she did, she gave it back. Salt on the wound. Thing cost me a small fortune.
Why did you want to come down here?
Revenge. I know I need to let go, but I can't. I need closure, because without it, I'll never be able to move on.
It's fine. As long as you get us topside, we're still in.
Thanks. And don't worry. I got you.
You all right?
Now, if you haven't played the original game, I know I'm doing this thing again. If you haven't played the original game, I know I've complained about it all being filler. Oh yeah, here's me running back mistakenly. I'm going off track again. If you played the original game, you'll have an understanding of why Barrett U-turned on his opinion of Leslie so quickly after realizing that he had something that didn't belong to him, but he held it as like a safekeeping out of the heart and respect he had for someone else. You'll understand why. So obviously that kind of gives away pieces of it if you haven't played it, but yeah, Barrett equally has gone through similar things and has a lot of heart and time for people who he's lost in the past and has mementos and things tied to them. And that's as far as I'm going to go, but you'll have a better understanding of it hopefully in later parts. Or if you're that curious, play the original. It's like on everything right now. But yeah, I got ahead of myself. So yeah, the water's there. Literally, you go through this door, follow him down the corridor.
Twisted piece of shit. I'm gonna enjoy beating him.
You get a couple extra lines of dialogue, and Leslie's like, no, let me handle him. There's the switch next to the ladder. Lift it up, the water goes down, then you can go do it. That was all I had to do extra. See, there it goes. The water just vanishes. And I was sitting there like, God damn it, it's right there. But getting back here, this, in the whole of Chapter 14 on hard mode, no fight gave me as much trouble as this one. I game over to this fight a dozen times, it felt like. Like, I even came in with, like toad resistant stuff and whatnot. But this arena is tiny, there's 3 of these fuckers. Even if you're resistant to it, you're gonna get caught eventually. It's just, this fight is a nightmare. I genuinely, especially because I still went to save magic because, you know, there's a boss fight yet. There's a boss fight in this chapter we've yet to do, so I didn't want to waste all my magic now. But I'm going to tell you now, use your magic on this. It's easier, it will be easier for you to do that than wait for the boss. Or alternatively, go do the boss and then come back down here, but that's just, you know, extra walking, so it's up to you. But you see, I'm going to desperately try and do everything in my power to move out of the way and just kind of, like, separate them up and take them down one by one. One of them's a prince, so it has its stats like through the goddamn roof compared to the others. It's far more resistant. Its attacks have much bigger radius, and it also has this counter stance bullshit where it will hold itself in place. Firstly, it will cast Protect on itself, which is what that symbol is. It will hold itself in place, and any physical attack that comes its way, it'll counter. Any magic attack that comes its way, it will shoot a shockwave at you. If you're not doing anything, it will either jump or spit at you. Your best strategy is really, if you're using a physical method, is I said if you use any magic or range attack, it's coming for you. It's going to use an attack. If you don't do anything, it'll jump at you. But it is pressured to try and encourage you to try and find a way to deal with it. My strategy would be, make it attack you, make it go for the jump on you, and have it be Cloud in the counter stance. But we get the Emerald Tiara to reference, you know, the Emerald weapon, completing the references to the super bosses of the original game. But that also means that side quest is pretty much done, so we can turn that in to someone to make a profit. And Tifa says, well, why not turn it into Marl? You know, the person who was our landlord back in Sector 7, because you could use that to sell and make profits and support the people who have lost their home. So that becomes your turn-in point. You turn that in there, and that will count as that side quest well and truly done. And we picked up an enfeeblement ring, which is why I say don't buy it, because if you're that fussed about doing a Toad run, you're gonna get more later. That's not the only ring we're just gonna get from a box, by the way. There's another one later on where we get it. It's like, oh, for God's sake. But now we are back. So I cussed it again. We can get back to where we were pretty easily, actually. Like, they kind of... The way they make the map tie back to itself so you can get back to just where we were before the pouch was stolen. It's not a big stretch. They make you go for like a little bit of like a tunnel thing here that you can see, or like a ladder that's broken, but we're already back on familiar ground. Like, that's where it was. The ladder's here, and then we're going to be right back where we were. So I even kind of circle around, because I'm like, wow, we really are just here. Also, I think that was another item box I missed over in the distance. It looked like something was glowing yellow way over there. I hope that wasn't the all materia either. I think that's the thing, like, because I know I've missed it, I just want it to be missed on a chest that wasn't on screen. If it was missed because it was on a chest that was on screen and I just ran past it, But just in case it was, the All of Materia is a better version of the Magnify, even if it has its own trade-off. It will reduce the effectiveness of the skills similar to Magnify. I think it's actually slightly stronger, the reducing effect, but will guarantee it will hit all of the opponents if used on them, or all of your party if used on you. As opposed to Magnify, which will only hit things within range. So it's literally like a upgrade to Magnify. And all, especially, becomes valuable in hard mode, which is why I can't stress enough. Check all your goddamn chests and make sure you get it. If it is in chapter 14 and I just ran past it. Because all Cura will save your neck when you can't get the 280 Bs for a prayer.
It's Leslie! Got some urgent info for the Dawn!
Come alone?
Of course.
Really? Without my little avalanche kittens? I thought I told you to round them up and bring them to me.
Actually, it's them I came to talk about.
Leslie. I don't think I need to remind you why I'm down here. Spilling the beans to those 3 escape artists was a serious mistake. Now I'm on Shinra's shit list. The plate stunt was meant to be an unprecedented tragedy, claiming countless innocent lives. But those naughty little kittens organized an evacuation and screwed up the plan. I'll let you in on a secret. Shinra's going to abandon Midgar and build something close to paradise. I was invited to be a part of it. Dawn of a new and improved wall market. I'll be lucky to live another week. Leslie, I was gonna let you run your own place. Give you a piece of the action. What a shame. Pop quiz time, kiddo! Villains like us only divulge our evil plans in a certain situation. But what is that situation,
When you think you've already won.
Goodbye.
Think again, Dawn.
Huh? It's you.
You were talking about the Sector 7 plan. Keep talking, asshole.
Ah! Over there! Over there, look!
Don't try to bullshit us.
But that's the thing. It's not technically bullshit when it's true. Good, Abzu! Feel free to play with your food. Dawn out.
Bastard!
First him, then Corneo.
Alright, rematch with Abzu. In the original game, he killed it the first time round, whilst in this, it obviously ran away. So I suppose it was eventually going to come back one way or another. But this is the weakest boss fight in the game. Abzu 2, I genuinely think is a very weak fight in this game. With how amazing and multi-phased and like extra all the bosses in the game, this boss being the same as the last one, but now he has minions. And that kind of being the entire idea of the fight. Oh, and instead of having Aerith, you have Barrett in her place. It makes this fight kind of like, oh, this fight's here, okay. And I feel like I'm harsher on it just because, like I said, I feel like this whole chapter could have been very different and it'd be fine. So they could have made chapter 14 literally, it's 2 seconds long or it's 3 hours long and make it only because of the side content. And I feel like they should have gone that route instead. But I get why they did the Leslie part of it, because it was a way to tease at a piece of character development we're going to learn more of in a likely future part. Or, you know, in the original. But everything else in this main plot side of the chapter feels like it could have been reworked or changed in some manner, and nothing would have been lost. But as it stands, it's just, you do the sewers again, you fight Abzu again, just now you do it in reverse order. Oh, and you run around the same area again. That changes like one particular of these little shouts or shoots or whatever you call these little things. You know what I mean? Like it's in retrospect, like this is the weakest chapter. The only thing that makes it redeemable is the side quests and stuff. Because I feel like the best side quests in the game are in this chapter. Not necessarily the most humorous. That goes to the Wool Market. But the only side quest we won't be covering is the Johnny side of the Wool Market quest. They're hilarious. But that's they're only them, you know? I'm not going to do the whole of chapter 10 again just to show off 2 side quests. I'm sorry, but I'm not. In the same vein that I wasn't prepared to like grind up to level 999 just to show off all the Colosseum fights in Neptunia Reverse. Like, I have to draw lines. Or to like grind out those materials to do those extra dungeons when they're just reskins of the same dungeons we've done. It's like I always have to. It's an annoying thing, but as much as I'd love to cover every single detail, I have to know when to draw a line on things that will actually be interesting or not. And there's a lot of times where I end up not, because I sit there and go, yeah, that's not interesting. The only like major exception I've ever really made is the pain area in the Death End games. They're the only times where it's like, I don't care if they're interesting or not. I love those games way too much, or enjoy them way too much. I want to cover all of their content. And even though it's kind of grindy, there's at least unique enemies within it, unique bosses. And, you know, it's like 50-odd minute videos of me just chatting shit. Usually having a Game Awards talk, which I didn't get to have this year in a Death End game, because Death End 3 didn't come out this year. I think I'm going to make a deliberate point. Whenever Death End 3 actually comes around, maybe next year, maybe the year after, because I know next year they'll be more focused on Sisters v Sisters. But whenever Death End 3 comes around, I'm going to start, when it comes out, I'm not going to start recording it till like end of September, start of October, deliberately. So then I'll finish it, and then the pain area will line up with the Game Awards again, hopefully. I feel like I've got to, just like to have like the old way forward. That in like literally it was 2019 and 2020's Game Awards. I feel like people that are newish here, both of them were talked about because they both had their nomination announcements while I was recording the pain area. So it became my talking point for our whole video, rather than spend like 50-odd minutes just chatting about the nominations and what I felt should have been nominated, what I felt was overrated. And I said I use overrated loosely when I say that. For the most part, when I say overrated, I don't mean as in, oh, people like it too much. I meant as in, businesses made way too much of a thing out of it when it wasn't that great. Last year, like Last of Us 2 being the perfect example, no game in the planet deserves as many awards as it earned. Not even that game. It was alright, but I really didn't like a lot of it, but even put my personal bias aside, doesn't change the fact no game deserves that many awards. It was very limiting.
You okay?
Where's Corneo?
Sorry, bastard got away.
It's fine. I'll track him down eventually. Not like I have anything better to do.
You know, I wouldn't be so sure about that.
Huh?
She could still be out there,
Can never be sure how much someone means to you till they're gone. Don't give up on her yet.
Was it a message? What was she trying to tell me?
We'll meet again.
Huh?
It's a symbol of reunion.
Then I guess I've got no choice but to find her first. Thanks.
Hold up. I think you might be forgetting something.
I haven't. Found it. Let's get out of here. And then I'll give you what you need.
And then we have the ending of Leslie's story for this game, really. But that's not going to get elaborated on any further. But this door is one way, so you can unlock it and more freely run around the sewers now if you so please. But when you're ready, head on back up. I really should have done like another run through, but that's my bad for trying to get through chapter 14 all in one day. That was my idea, to get it all done in one session.
Taste that sweet Midgar smog.
This way!
Grappling guns. You can practically fly with the souped-up motors on these babies. Sector 7 is on the other side of that wall. The guns will get you over and past it, along with any number of other obstacles. But they're one-way tickets. So once you start up, there's no coming back. You should probably get your affairs in order, just in case.
Thank you.
Didn't tell you before, but we're looking for someone too.
That right? Hope you find him.
You too.
Let's go.
But now we're back out the sewers, the game's immediately going to say, hey, didn't you finish a side quest while you were down there? Want to return it? Yeah, sure, let's go to Marl and give her these accessories that we have. Everyone's still hurt, but hey, we've got things for you. The ruby, diamond, and emerald tiaras. Also referencing the ruby weapon, diamond weapon, and emerald weapon, respectively. Some of the super bosses that you would encounter, or battles you would encounter in the main game originally. And I cannot stress enough, although it's going to be a few parts away, so it might be like 6 or 7 years, I cannot wait to see the weapon raid. I cannot wait to see how they handle the super bosses and the weapons in later parts. Seriously, dude, I am so stoked to see how they handle it. Because yeah, like, it looked really, like, it's one of those things that I think looked really good in the original, because they used actual CG cutscenes for introducing those creatures, those things. So I'm trying to be vague because I don't want to spoil anything, obviously. And so it looked good at its time. Even though, yeah, it's dated animation, it's still, you get a good idea in your head of what it should look like. But damn, dude, I am excited. I am excited to see what they do with that. Like, my biggest excitement for the next part is just seeing how they handle the open world, see how they handle the Village of Calm and the flashback narration system part of it. But part 3 onwards, yeah, all the endgame shit I am super fucking stoked for. Some of the dungeons, I really hope they go all in on the dungeons and make them really, like, imaginative like the original. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. Next time on the Final Fantasy VII Remake, we're going to actually finish this fucking chapter. Until then, take care.